And now I want to bring up the guy who is the best ambassador for our industry out there, period. He travels all over the world with it and has really done some cool stuff. I'm going to have Tulay introduce you. And
hi everybody, I'm Roland Osborne.
smaller version.
Asian, shorter, nicer looking Roland Osborne.
The better man.
Yeah. Can we give it to all the speakers that came? That was awesome, man. So Roland and I are going to be hosting a before the party. So right after this, we're going to have some beers outside, so I hope you guys join us.
Another party.
Yeah. Great. So I'm very excited and proud to introduce my friend to the stage. We all know him. He's a creative hyper. And what I'm blessed with is his friendship. So we were sitting in his house one day in Huntington Beach. And of course, it's a bit late and we may have had 1 or 2 drinks at that point at the local bars. And I asked him this question. I go, Roland, why are you doing all of this? Because he's traveling to all the different schools and everything, right? And he looked at me, he's like, Guy flash kick. I was like, what the hell does that mean, dude? So Gaio is a street fighter. And you guys play this video game called Street Fighter, right? Ryu, Ken, there's this American fighter with a mohawk, kind of looks like Roland, and his signature move is this flash kick that he does. So then I'm like, what does that mean? And then so Roland tells me, well, back then I had a child, I was teaching a student, and I found out that student was sick. He wasn't going to live much longer, he got cancer. So what I did was, when I learned about that, he went and raised money by doing these flip kicks, and raised money and sent that kid because the kid wanted to go to Disney World. And so this dude loves children, he loves kids, he spends his whole life creating everything he's doing here, like Melody said, to make martial arts cool again, but his goal is really to empower kids because he loves them through the martial arts. So my friend Roland Osborne.
So I got some handouts. I got a little music. The last class. 10 minutes. 10 minutes, you guys are done. Okay? How many got a lot of information? Just your money's worth, right? I can't tell you everything that's going to change your life, right? But so I got some really cool wristbands for everybody.
Oh, you are my sunrise on the darkest day. Got me feeling some kind of way. Make me wanna savor every moment slowly.
Check. There we go. Thank you. Everybody get a wristband? Awesome. Raise your hand if you have a martial arts athlete wristband on. Raise your hand. Yeah. How many of you have a Live Your Life wristband on? Yeah. Cool. So a lot of good information this weekend. This is the last class. So I'm excited to be here. I appreciate Mr. Randy Reed. Can we give him a big round of applause for bringing this out? Amazing speakers. Mr. Rudy Mick, delivering content. You guys have a lot of great content. You can go back to your school. I've had the opportunity to travel around the world and train with a lot of great martial artists and train with a lot of great instructors and train with a lot of great martial arts school owners, right? There's kind of 3 things that it takes to be really successful in the martial arts and probably in most businesses, right? In ours, you have your curriculum, right? That's you guys, black belts, right? And then you have your training, and then you have your business. These are 3 different skill sets. So this weekend, you've been here like listening to systems. And I always say steal as many systems as you can, right? Why duplicate, like why try to come up with your own thing? Like Mr. Horton's program, awesome. Grab that leadership program. Melody skills program, awesome, grab that program, right? Use that information. Everybody has great stuff here. So take that, use it, and save yourself a lot of time, a lot of money, and be successful with it. One of the things that's important to me as an industry is that we all work together. Think about teamwork, right? As a team, we can change the world. As individuals, you change your community, right? Because you're the one, like you're teaching your class, you have 100, 200 kids looking at you. In those eyes, you're the one in your community that's making the difference. But as a team, we're changing the world. We have the power to do that. And that's one thing that Mr. Reed really brings up a lot, and that's why he created this event. It's for all of us to get together, right? All of us. Mr. Cassidy and Mr. Toulay and Mr. Doloff, like all of us, man, this community that we have, we can change the world. You guys heard of the 1 million program that we created with Hyper. Our goal is to reach 1 million kids a year. And it's easy. Not by yourself, but as a team. 1,000 schools reach 1,000 kids. That's 1 million kids. So 2 things I just want you to think about, and we'll finish. One is creating better martial artists. Because our real competition is not other martial arts schools, like a lot of people think, right? Your real competition is other businesses, or our biggest competitor is terrible martial arts schools. Because those are the ones that everybody thinks about. Imagine you walked in a martial arts school and it was like Nike and Apple combined. How many kids would want to be in that part of that school, right? So let's elevate, let's do these events, and let's change our martial art. We got to start with us. Let's change our martial arts school. Walk in to your school and be like, this should be like Nike Town. The inspiration you get when you walk into Nike Town, that feeling you get when you walk in there, that's what should feel like in your school. Or if you're doing yoga, right? You walk in there and you feel this inspiration. You feel this excitement. And then when you get out on the floor, man, if we want to change our industry, we've got to change our teaching strategies. We've got to teach, we've got to keep that modern, we've got to be like, what is a high-end gym? Like an Equinox, right? Like you have these trainers that look sharp, that look good. You walk in there and you're like, man, you're inspired. Not the, and I love tradition, right? We say embrace tradition, right? Respect tradition, embrace innovation. How can you combine that? We got to move forward. So when you walk out on that floor, like make sure that you look good and make sure those classes rock. There's no other gym that's better. There's no more energy that's better than your floor out there. We do that, we change the industry. So 2 things, I don't really have any slides, but one is the martial arts athlete. Okay, so I coined this term about 12 years ago because I was in my school and I was thinking about when you say martial arts, and all the speakers brought it up, like I'm embarrassed to say, like I'm a martial arts teacher, right? What does that mean to somebody? They have this kind of kung fu crazy old white uniform, dirty sweat armpit, don't punch me and stab me like this, stab me like that, like Jim Carrey mindset. How do we change that? A kid will never quit something that his friends think is cool, right? Is he gonna stand at the end zone and get in a horse stance and do single punches? His friends are like, yo, I'm gonna quit football, I'm gonna go do this, right? Nah, man, we gotta make martial arts elevate. We have to make martial arts have style, because to kids, everything is style, right? That's where their confidence a lot of times comes from, that style. So the martial arts athlete, when you think about your school, I just want, if you take one thing away, is I want you to go back and think about how you can create better martial artists. Because when everybody respects the martial arts athlete, our industry changes. When everybody thinks that being a martial artist is better than being a soccer player, that's when our industry changes. Does that make sense? Right? We got to do that in our schools. We got to create the experience. We got to create the athlete. And that athlete has something different that no other athlete has. Why? They're fast, they're powerful, and they can kick ass. Right? Kick a ball, kick somebody in the head. I can kick the basketball net, but I can kick somebody in the head. That's cool. I can do both, right? So when you think about it, when that student can kick and hit, you empower them a little bit differently than just playing any other sport, right? And the second part is, I love this picture only because we create athletes that not only win in the ring, but they win in life, right? So how do we create the martial arts athlete, but how do we create the character behind that changes their life? How do we fuse those two? And how do we make that relevant in today's style? So we created the Live Your Life program, the Hyper 1 Million program. So we have 2 things that we do in our company, and basically what my day is surrounded by, is creating simplified systems to create the athlete and to change their life. If we can take bullying and put it to the side, you guys know what the 5 biggest dangers facing kids are? We should know this, right? Okay. Fatal, accidental injuries, number 1, right? Number 2, bullying. Number 3, health, fitness, right? 4, child abuse. It's massive. And the last one is lack of motivation, right? Quitting school. And I think when you really look at all the statistics, they all add up to that last part. When you look at the statistics why kids, fatal things are happening between 15 to 18, they're committing suicide, they're shooting each other. It starts to shift very fast. So we have the ability to inspire them when they're 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, put them in leadership clubs, do these things where they can put all these things to the side and live their life. So as a company, as a movement, I don't even call us a company. We don't really even have, we don't have an office. We have a training lab, we punch, kick each other, and have fun. But as a movement, we're building the best martial artists we can, and then we're also giving them the life hacks to live their life the best they possibly do. When you mold those two together, man, you got a winning program. It's gonna crush it, right? There's no other program like that. And that's what we do. So I want to thank Mr. Reed, again, for putting this whole thing together. I think it's been amazing coming here and being with all of you guys, having the chance and the opportunity to talk with you and work through your programs. We did some curriculum engineering with some schools. It's been amazing. All the speakers delivered a lot of content. There's some people that say knowledge is power. I disagree. Using it's life-changing. Because most people are drowning in information and starving for success. Drowning in information and starving for success. So how do you take everything you got this weekend? It's weekdays. Yeah, the weekend, nice. Say Friday? Yes. How do you take what you just got over the last 2 days and how do you apply it to your school? And how do you take this information and change and shift your life? How do you do that? That's what's important. I remember attending my first couple events, and I remember making the investment the first time, and I was scared going to my first event. I remember it was Texas, San Antonio. I went to my first event, and I got there, and I'm like, I paid my $3.99 to go to the event, got my flight, my hotel, like all that, spend $1,500, $2,000. And I'm like, how do I make that back? And I made a commitment to myself that any investment that I make in my training, I'm gonna make 10 times more. I could tell you, while I've been in these classes, I would make $100,000 off the information I got this weekend. I would do those parent seminars. Man, you got the whole package. I would be doing those parent seminars all day long and enrolling parents. I was like, taking my notes, I'm like, this is easy, right? Take the information and leverage the information I get from all these amazing speakers. How do you leverage that information and go back to your school and make it 10 times your investment? 10 times. So I'm just going to challenge you with that. Okay? Go back to your school. Take your investment. The good time is the added bonus, right? The fun, all that you had on top of that. But make 10 times. And every event you go to, I got to say, and I hope this doesn't offend anybody, but I've been to a lot of events, and I see the same people. And year after year after year after year after year after year after year, and the next year, I see them again. Their school's never changed. Never changed. They've never grown. They've the same thing over and over and over again. Let's take this information. Let's do something great with it. Let's be a team. Let's come back next year. Let's make it bigger. Let's make it better. And let's do some great things. Let's create some martial arts athletes. And let's change the lives in our community. We do want one picture, so we need all of you guys to come up on stage for one picture. One picture? We'll do one giant picture.